The FIA Karting Championships have remained in Spain, but have moved from the east to the north on the picturesque Karting Zuera circuit a few miles from the ancient city of Zaragoza. This is the fastest and longest circuit in the karting calendar, and therefore the perfect place to kick off the gearbox season, with the KZ and KZ2 drivers ready for battle. There are many new topics to discuss, more champions than ever before gracing the KZ category, new challengers stepping up from the OK class to KZ2 for the first time, and the third woman ever to race in the premier class of karting. With only freedom to develop chassis and a 5 kilogram minimum weight difference between the two categories, for some drivers this is the final bastion before the switch to car racing, and for others this is the pinnacle of the motorsport ladder. Overtaking is brutal, tyre management is critical, and staying focused enough to win is the difference between a contender and a champion. With driving talent and ability comparable to the top stars in Formula 1, IndyCar and Le Mans, to win here, you need to be the best of the best. It doesn't get more intense, more physical, or more demanding. This is where the warriors of the sport reside. Former world champion Pedro Hiltbrand will show us around the circuit, hitting 145 km an hour over the finish line and flat on the throttle through turn 1. Keeping the kart smooth through the square right-hander and utilising the speed through the left flick, then into a major overtaking spot. Turn 4 is tight and slippery, but perfect it and you move up rapidly. Back on the power and heading for turn 5, which careers to the left and goes on for an age before tightening on the exit and throwing you into the next tight right, which you need a truly smooth exit for, as you could be left vulnerable for the next hairpin. Another prime overtaking spot to the left for the last of the late breakers. Accelerate around the next set of right-handers, the first opens and then the following 3 apexes combine to eat away at the tyres on the left side of the kart. So tyre management becomes a real mission in the final sector. Calm precision is needed through the double left-handers, and then a committed approach into the right-hander at turn 11 will maintain speed and then bring the power back up to storm through the final bend. At top speeds nearing 160 km an hour, circuits don't come faster than Zuera. KZ has been the gearbox formula in karting since 2007, and the difference between KZ and KZ2 is very small, with KZ2 being only 5 kilograms heavier and with KZ having more freedom to develop new components. Both karts utilise a 6-speed gearbox which can generate 46 to 50 brake horsepower, which may not sound like much until you consider that the driver is only a couple of millimetres off the ground and will regularly experience 2G in the corners. Formula 1 world champion Max Verstappen won both the European and World KZ titles in the 2013 season, and current Formula 1 stars are occasionally seen testing these karts, as they provide the closest experience to a Grand Prix car for physicality, focus and racecraft. Held across only 2 weekends, the European Championship is very hard to win, as mistakes and bad luck are punished severely in equal measure. Indeed, in KZ2, no champion has ever successfully defended a European title, whereas only 2 men, Jorrit Peks and Bas Lammers, have ever done so in KZ. In the awning, the mechanics really earn their pay, and there are just as many components on a KZ racer as you'll find in Grand Prix, and it's the work done behind the scenes that really makes the difference. On track, the racing can be ferocious and really depends on a good attitude and disciplined approach, as winning here makes you one of the best racing drivers on the planet. In KZ2 in 2022, France was the nation that cleaned up. Tom Loyer showed the world what he could do in the European Championship, as the Leclerc by Lennox racer dominated at both Genk and Cremona, despite the pressure from multiple opponents. His efforts have now been rewarded with both an FIA Championship title and a factory drive at Tony Kart in KZ. In the World Cup at Le Mans, Arthur Carbonell romped to victory on home soil and will now step up to the KZ category as well, giving us 2 new French stars on the premier racing grid in karting. Sodi Kart showed their incredible pace in KZ last year, as first Emilien Denner claimed an emphatic victory at Genk in Belgium. And then in Cremona in Italy, it was his teammate Senna van Walstijn's turn. But thanks to his dedication and consistency, the champion would actually be the Italian driver, Paolo Ippolito of Kart Republic, which meant that there would be several happy faces on the podium. Sodi were back to winning ways again, and Kart Republic claimed their second European gearbox crown. But then came the World Championship at Le Mans, where there could only be one winner. And fittingly, Victor Gustafsson became the new champion of the world ahead of the contest's previous two winners, Noah Milel and Jérémy Iglesias. And with the latter back for more in 2023, who knows what could unfold? "88 competitors entered the weekend in KZ2, but only 36 remained at the start of the final. The general consensus was clear. 2023 looked like the most competitive KZ2 lineup for many years, and with novices as quick as the veterans, it was going to be a tough call. Birolart Racing have come out of the blocks fighting fit, with Christian Bertucca now joined by Daniel Vasile and Freddie Slater, who would share the front row. But Alex Powell and Kian Nakamura-Berta were looking very fast on their gearbox debuts, with wildcard Daniel Mathia hoping to keep Spanish hearts racing to the finish line. The battle for the European title is on. As the field launched away from the grid, it was Slater who beat the poleman Vasile to turn 1. Mathia climbed into third position, with Energy Corps star Thomas Stolchamanis also having a great debut in P4. But his best would come later around the opening lap, as the Latvian would pull out the overtaking move of the weekend on the first lap of the final, round the outside of Mathia at turn 7, an audacious and sensational piece of driving. It spooked Mathia so much that Matteo Spergel, Alex Powell and Jorge Pescador could also move ahead of the baffled Spaniard. Vasile's experience came in handy on the second lap as he made a bold manoeuvre to overtake Slater and show his young teammate who was boss, for now at least. Pescador picked up the first warning flag of the race, and Samuel Lier found he couldn't pass Michael Paparot as the two ended up on the sidelines. At 1/3's distance, Slater returned to the lead once again as the young Englishman continued his amazing performance in his first FIA weekend in gearbox. Vasile had to work hard to keep Stolchamanis behind him. That was the only invitation Alex Powell required to seize his chance and make a stunning overtake himself, moving the Mercedes F1 Junior into third. Pescador was now looking hungry in fifth, hoping he could give the Calicart squad a positive result in the opening race of the season. But he reckoned without Kian Nakamura-Berta, who was also enjoying his maiden voyage in gearbox. Could he win back-to-back European titles after his OK success last year? Powell had closed right up onto the back bumper of Vasile's Birolart, but the Romanian wasn't going to be an easy driver to pass. However, the boy born in Miami in Florida was clearly ready to take prisoners, and when you leave a gap, Powell will definitely go for the move. Could he catch the leader now? Not everybody was enjoying the final, and for Alex Marigliano, bad luck would rob him of the finish he and the Maranello team deserved, having run all weekend in the top 5. Powell had come into the weekend with a simple objective: learn about the craft of gearbox racing. But now both he and Slater were rookie drivers in sight of victory, so who would be able to outpace the other to clinch the win? Vasile was still third, but Nakamura-Berta had now climbed to fourth, ahead of Stolchamanis and Pescador. On lap 12, Powell saw the best chance he was ever going to be given and snatched the lead of the race away from Freddie Slater. With 7 laps to go, it was now the Jamaicans to lose. Slater's tyres started to drift away, and Nakamura-Berta sensed that Birolart were vulnerable. He moved ahead of Vasile with a clinical move at turn 2, and now it was Prema versus Birolart for the lead and for third. Pescador decided a podium was possible and made reasonable work of Stolchamanis in 5th position. Spergel in the CPB Sport Sodi kart was hopeful of doing the same. With only 4 laps remaining, Slater knew that he would have to defend in order to retain second position, as Pescador passed Vasile for 4th. Whilst the Romanian was now struggling, at least he was still in the battle, as Cristian Bertuca's race came to an abrupt halt on turn 5, after what had been a thrilling weekend. The podium certainly was possible for Pescador now, and Nakamura Berta was taken completely by surprise when the Argentine nipped ahead. Slater, however, was now defending for dear life, as the following 6 karts all did what they could to take advantage of the situation. Pescador made a bold attempt to pass Slater for second position, heading into turn 6. But the British driver refused to give way and held on to second. Stolchemanis tried another audacious move around the outside, but this time it wouldn't gain him any positions. Heading into the final lap, and Powell had done enough to pull away, thanks to his speed, and his rivals continued dueling. Pescador had picked up a second warning flag for his urgency. One more, and there would be real trouble. The only man who could really make a move on the final lap was Vasile, and not only did it fail, but it also dropped him behind the Frenchman Matteo Spergel. Slater was now relatively safe in second, with Pescador resigned to be content with third. But as debuts go, nobody had been as impressive as Powell for quite some years. From 5th to 1st on his debut, having been fastest in group in qualifying 2. It was quite a spectacular performance from Alex Powell, and no doubt his fans back home in both Miami and Jamaica would be both stunned and ecstatic. The racing world would definitely be taking notice, as he has become a very hot property very quickly. Slater and Pescador completed a very happy podium ahead of Nakamura Berta and Spergel. Vasile would hold off Stolchemanis to the flag, whilst the Spanish talents of Daniel Mathia and Genis Civico would be joined in the top 10 by Jean Nomblo. Jorge Pescador, the importer for Kart in Spain, gave the Tonini Group a sensational Spanish fiesta in third. With maximum points in the qualifying heats and second in the Superheat and Final, Freddie Slater is now the championship leader by 6 points. But the winner of the final is Alex Powell, who has just given everybody in karting and world motorsport a massive wake-up call. So there's only one thing left for the drivers to do: get busy with the fizzy.
It was a long race. Had to keep the concentration for all 18 laps, so that was difficult as well. But I mean, I had the karts underneath me to stay consistently, do consistent times, stay consistently in the front, and it was it was an amazing race. It was always coming forward, so the trajectory from that aspect was quite good. But I mean, it's a big thanks to all the KR team, because they've been working so hard over the winter. Last year we were European champion in KZ with Paolo Ippolito. So hopefully this year we can try and repeat that feat that he did last year. But I mean, you know, we just need to keep on working hard, doing our best, and if we can go into round 2 in Sarno with a similar result, I think we can be quite happy with that.
We put together, had a really good start, and I knew Vasile was always going to be there, right on me to the start. I knew the start wasn't always my best part, especially with the kart. It was a bit slidey, but then managed to take the lead, and it was quite hard to lead as the wind was massive, and yeah, especially hard track, and there's a lot of corners, so you always got to be on your A game every corner, and this track always bites you when you do make a mistake, and I got overtaken by Alex, and it was fast at that point, and I had a bit of aero wash, I would say, like just as the sides were hot, and it just struggled a bit, and I knew they were right behind me, so I kind of didn't have the option to keep going forward, and I knew second was the best I was kind of going to get, so it was defense mode from there.
Start P8 in the final, push in the first 5 laps is very difficult for me. The chassis is little sliding. After the 6-7 laps, the chassis is perfect and push the maximum. It's very difficult in the medium the race after the little close, Freddy, Nakamura, but for me it's very good position finish the race.
Yeah, we are very happy having 2 rookie drivers in this category. They have showed extreme good speed all through the week. Both of them with the starts and everything, managing the heats very good, also with the tire and everything. Some small mistakes here and there, which is normal. So, but overall they've done a good job, especially then Alex staying calm in the final when it was P4, P5, then keeping everything calm, managing the ties all the way to the end, and grabbing a great victory in our opinion. So we are all happy.
The Champion of Champions race. Formula One without the money. Whatever you call KZ, there's no doubt that it's high stakes, high pressure and high velocity. Across the qualifying heats, there were 3 different winners from 3 different squads. Tom Loyer from Tony Kart, Senna van Walstijn from Sodi Kart and Danilo Albanese from Kart Republic. But after Loyer had stormed to pole in time qualifying, Van Walstijn had scored pole for the final, ahead of Jérémy Iglesias, with Albanese alongside Emilion Denner in his Sodi. The key factor would be tyre degradation, and nobody knew which team and driver combination could perfect it over 18 laps and 30 kilometers of racing. Time then to find out. As Van Walstijn crept off the line, Iglesias nailed the start and was joined by Denner and the fast-starting Matteo Vigano through the first bend, leaving the rest of the field to do the best they could around the opening lap. Van Walstijn tried every trick in the book to move ahead of Vigano once more, but it wasn't possible for the moment, and now he had Albanese and Lorenzo Camplese in close proximity. Now the drivers needed to settle in, manage tyres, look after brakes, monitor the engine, and pray for Lady Luck to offer a helping hand. After a calm start to the weekend, Vigano had clearly saved his best work for last, as he moved ahead of Denner for second place. That wasn't in the plan for Sodi Kart or Emilion Denner, so he attempted to take the place back immediately, but Vigano was wise to the move. Van Walstijn elected to make a bold move on his teammate Denner, and with such a gamble came such a risky outcome. Fortunately, he made it, and Albanese joined him into 4th position. Denner wasn't happy and was relentlessly seeking a chance to move back into the top 3, but Albanese wasn't budging. Loyer ran out of luck completely as he retired following an incident with Christian Habulin and Teresa Babičková, who ended her admirable maiden weekend in gearbox in disappointment. It was on the whole a weekend to forget for Parolin, as Francesco Salenta wouldn't see the finish line either, as the Parolin hit trouble on only lap 5. The next man out of the race would be a living legend. Sadly, mechanical problems ended Jorrit Pex's afternoon way too early. It was fast becoming a race of high attrition, as many more would falter before the finish. Denner finally made a successful move past Albanese, and he needed to, with Riccardo Longhi bearing down on both of them. Sadly, the reigning world champion was the next retirement. Victor Gustafsson's European campaign was already virtually over. Then Longhi sent Pulses racing with a huge power slide that became an overtaking move that benefited Camplese more, as he passed both men with lightning reactions. But the two Italians weren't finished, as their battle became irresistible. Albanese made a bold attempt into the first corner, and he was lucky his race didn't end there and then. His teammate and reigning European champion Paolo Ippolito wasn't going to be kind to his teammate, and so the new Italian in KZ would have to defend valiantly. None of this caused an issue for Jérémy Iglesias in the lead, who was set for a perfect start to the 2023 season. In fact, the top 5 looked relatively secure, with Vigano ahead of Van Walstijn, Denner and Camplese. Adrien Renaudin was the next big name to fall, as the new DR driver would walk home after retiring at the first corner. And Felix Arnold would crash out at the end of the second sector too. A tough day for Maranello. The Sodi karts were pushing each other and trading sector times, with both men eager to reach the rostrum after a very tough race weekend. But Iglesias was uncatchable. Denner briefly moved ahead, but Camplese managed to reel in the Sodi kart twins in the closing stages to give them a nasty scare on the final lap, with Denner having to do all the hard work to keep the Tony Kart factory star at bay, which he would eventually fail to accomplish. But the Frenchman in the CRG up front had been fantastic, from lights out to flag down, and Jérémy Iglesias completed a dominant race win with an immaculate and textbook display. CRG now have all the ingredients to add the European crown to their World Championship winning form at Le Mans last year. So at Sarno, expect the boys in orange and black to be hard to beat. Vigano quietly grabbed a smooth second place ahead of Van Walstijn, with Camplese sneaking ahead of Denner on the final lap. Longhi and Albanese were next, ahead of Stan Pex, and two legendary world champions, Lorenzo Travasanuto and Pedro Hiltbrand. It's already a very close race for the European title, and by finishing third, Van Walstijn is ahead by just 2 points. Vigano isn't out of the contest with a valiant second place. And Iglesias has the best chance yet to add a European trophy to his world title accolade of 3 years before. He'll have to clinch it in the same nation as last time, Italy, home territory for CRG. So, no pressure, boys.
Yeah, I was, when I saw the calendar for this year, I said, okay, Zuera is one of my favorite tracks, so I focused to arrive here really prepared and confident with the material and myself. So I was, I think, 100% with everything. Of course, with the big job of CRG and the Galifa. My plan was to start first, so that's what I did. And from the start, I said, okay, now I push and I do the best I can do for every lap. And the material was so fantastic, so even it's more easy like that.
Honestly, compared to last year, this race we were not so competitive from Thursday and Friday. So this was not the result I expect, honestly. We improved a lot during the weekend from Saturday and this morning, and slowly we were able to coming from the back. And starting from after the P19 of qualifying, I'm very happy of this second place, and also today Jérémy was for me like too fast, so today was uncatchable. Yeah, it's a track that I like, honestly, and the last time we were quick. It's true also we were different tires, and we will have to work for improve also with these ones that we are using in the FIA race. And for sure, I think we will be more competitive there than here.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the race when you're starting on pole, of course you expect better, especially after all the races we've done so far this week. Every time the start was good. But yeah, just made a mistake on my side, which is a shame for the team and everyone. But I think in the end, Jérémy was too fast to catch. And I tried to catch Vigano, but it was difficult to stay close behind. But yeah, I mean, the material was really good. The engines were really on fire. So yeah, really happy for that. And I'm sorry for the team that we couldn't get a better result. Every race so far this year we had the speed. So this is really confidence for coming into the next race. And I think, yeah, this week as well, we were managing all the races like really good. And yeah, I think we have a big chance to win a championship maybe this year.
Yeah, we had a good pace all weekend, but not enough to think about this result in the final. But after work, step by step, with every details of the chassis, engine, with Khalifa, we find the best way to get this result for the final. And as discussed with Jérémy, everything was perfect with our setup. Probably with the chassis setup was not so difficult to find the right way, but maybe with the carburation was not easy. Every time you need to stay focused and understand what you find after maybe half an hour when you have the heat or the final.
It's been a spectacular start to the season. Alex Powell and Prema Racing have blitzed their way to the victory on their first ever attempt in the KZ2 category. And if they can keep the ball rolling on the team's home circuit at Sarno, the young man from Miami could be one of the youngest ever KZ2 European champions in history. Can the talented team really do it? In KZ, Jérémy Iglesias is back and faster than ever before. Winning his first race since he became world champion in 2020 is the perfect start to the season, as CRG continues to demonstrate how hard work and dedication really pays off. But karting never sleeps, and there's more work to do. Before the gearbox races even arrive at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, the Academy Trophy begins, and the OK and Junior drivers face their next mission in 5 weeks' time at the Steel Ring at Třinec in the Czech Republic. But as the Jamaican and French flags fly on top of the Zuera podium, the only question that remains is who will triumph next time?